New, wa? The warring of gods has endangered these lands. I must keep the balance.
Hello there everybody, what are you doing? I'm SuperSonicBlur and welcome to the next God Guide kit explanation and build. This time, the first requested one that we've done on the channel. This is going to be for Nuwa, who is actually probably my favorite god in Smite. She was my first god I played, the first god I played through to Diamond, and my absolute love. Truly and utterly, I do love this god. But it has been a long time since I've played her. Usually my OCD sits with me where it's like, oh, I gotta go to Diamond, I don't need to play them again. But Nuwa, it's been a while, so it's been a little bit of time. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, fantastic late game mage, very good control over objective style things. Not necessarily because they have that big burst ultimate to be able to secure it, but she definitely comes under her with a large amount of utility and a fair, and probably, I would say, one of the highest self-peeling mages in the game as it stands, so that's pretty freaking sweet. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing we're going to do is go over that kit. Okay then, so Nuwa's passive is called Strength of Wood. After 5 successful basic attacks, Nuwa's next basic attack will root an enemy for 1.5 seconds. Those are those 5 little dots that you see above her there. So 1 lights up, then 2 lights up, then 3 lights up. And if you have a look here, at 5 stacks, your next attack will root. And you hear this, and then you hear bang. Also as well, you'll be able to see one of the stones around her will also glow. That is important, that lets you know if she's going to root. And then your next attack will look like that, and it'll root for 1.5 seconds. So already this god has a very nice bit of utility in her kit. Every 5 basic attacks, she can root something. That's useful, especially when used in combination with the rest of her kit. Mysterious Fog is Nuwa's one. Radius of 20, this affects everyone, and it's magical damage because she's a mage, as to be expected. So, Nuwa condenses moisture into fog at her location, which then rolls forward away from her. She and all allies are stealthed while inside this fog and have increased movement speed. Attacking or being attacked will break this stealth. Enemies that run into the fog will take damage and continue to take damage again for every second that they are in the fog. Now, it's important to note that this thing has an initial damage and then a tick damage. The initial damage is a lot stronger than the tick damage, but the tick's damage is still nice. The movement speed is nice as well. This is your quote-unquote escape. It's also a good little bit of additional damage that you can use because it's almost an instant. Remember how we talked last time about Kali having an instant stun? This is like that bang instant damage. So if you can instantly proc off an additional 50 damage into someone or 150 damage into someone, this has pretty good scaling, so it's not actually that bad. I want to say it's like 40%, so you want to be able to bang in that additional bit of damage, bang, and you can do that. And don't forget that if you root someone for 1.5 seconds, they're going to take that plus a tick. This ability is very interesting. It will move in a straight line, but you can walk anywhere within it. So when I'm in here, I can literally just walk anywhere. This is very useful for being able to juke out enemies. You have a circular area of, I'm in here, but you don't know exactly where. You can also use this to sometimes be able to slip past things. So let's say, for example, I'm being chased. Eventually the frame's going to come back. There we go. So I'm going to be chased this way. What I can actually do is juke around someone and then slip away from them, and they think I'm still in the fog, which is very, very useful. Not always going to be able to do that, but it's something that you have. It also acts as a little bit of secondary wave clear early, but don't worry about that. That is not her wave clear ability. Now, her 2 is called Clay Soldiers. Nuwa conjures clay soldiers from the earth. These soldiers have health equal to 200 plus 20% of Nuwa's maximum health, and deal damage with basic attacks. These are physical. Clay soldiers will attack the closest enemy when summoned, and if you or an ally are hit by an enemy god, they will switch to that god. Gods hit by their initial charge will also take damage and have their magical protections reduced. This is a very strong ability when used in combination with some of our other pieces of kit. However, the damage they do per hit is up to 60 per swing. There are 3 of them you can have at max rank, so that's 180 damage. Not to mention as well that they can reduce magical protections by a flat 60. That is a lot, just for reference there. In terms of the soldiers that are summoned, you get 1. Then all the way through rank 2 through 4, you will get 2 of them. And then you get the 3rd one. So very early on, actually level 3, you'll want to get that 2nd point in clay soldiers because it gets you that 2nd one. Also, the 8 protections isn't that bad at all. Bearing in mind that can also double up, so that'd actually be 16. Bearing in mind most gods early have about 30 magic protections. Penning 50% at that point, and their damage isn't too bad, and it also helps you with wave clear because they're there for wave clear. They act as minions. So I shall quickly show you what these guys look like and how they work. So you see, this is your targeter thing. You'll have between 1, 2, or 3, and when you summon them, they do this, and then they'll decide a target, and so this is what they do. And as you can see, they help you do more damage because protection shred is useful, and they do that, and they last for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, they disappear. But a very useful thing that you can do about this is you can look at your cooldowns. When it's around 8 seconds, you know they're gonna go. So that's very useful. But why they're so useful is because of her 3. Shining Metal. Nuwa launches a massive shining metal, damaging all enemies that it hits. If it hits one of her clay soldiers, it explodes, dealing additional damage and stunning the enemies. The minion stun duration goes from 1 second to 1.5 seconds. So already she has a 1.5 second stun and a 1.5 second root. She can hold someone in place for 3 seconds. That's pretty good. But not only that as well, but the initial damage that it'll hit for is 250. Plus minion explosion of 150. If you hit all 3 minions, which it's not the easiest thing to do, but if you hit 1 minion, that goes from 250 to 400. 2 minions goes from 250 to over doubled base at 550. If you hit all 3, oh boy, you're in for a real good time. Real good time. I'm just going to say that right now. Not to mention as well, your clay soldiers will have reduced their protections by an additional 60 over any pen that you have. And they'll have dealt 180 damage themselves. So already you can see that this god has a very large amount of burst potential later into the game. Nuwa does require a lot of items and a bit, but she's still got okay. She does suffer early with wave clear, but Shining Metal, I'll show you what that looks like. As you can see, it's a very short cooldown at 8 seconds, so this is what it is, and it's just there. It has a nice range on it of 70, so you can sit a little bit further back for wave clearing, which is nice. And just bonk. See, it hit there. It just happened to hit there for just bonk, 69 damage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to do this to go a little bit faster. My frames are going to go randomly awful because it's Smite. And as you can see here, this is their stun. And so what you can do is you can use the minions for about now, and then boom. They got stunned and he got hit. I recommend trying to use your minions for as long as possible, unless they're going to get killed, because it's really useful to have. Also as well, enemies that look at this go, oh, that's a clay soldier. Crap, no, that's going to stun me. Get away from me. It basically becomes a bomb, this thing. So that is very, very useful. So as you can see, you do that, they hit there, and then just bang. You can really start punching into someone, because the later you get into the game, 200 plus 20% of health seems like, quote-unquote, a lot. It's not that much. So you probably won't be able to get them for the full 10 seconds. The main thing you want to use your minions for is that charge, and then bang with the shining metal. But talking about bang, let's have a look at fire shards. Nuwa flies up into the clouds, gaining visibility on all enemy gods wherever they are unless they are dead, and summoning fire shards from the sky to damage each of them. Let's have a look at what that looks like then. So unfortunately there is no map in this, but
Evil shall be cleansed.
bam. So you get to stay out of the air, you get to stay up away from damage, you get CC immunity, and then you also deal damage to them. Rah, sweetie. There we go. There we go. Good boy, Rah. And as you can see as well, if you hit multiple clay soldiers there, it doesn't do a longer stun or anything like that, but what it does do is it increases the amount of damage, which is glorious. So yeah, that's her kit. And a pretty interesting kit. I would say that Nuwa is definitely one of the gods who has a lot more synergy within their kits to look to try and do stuff, and she can be a little bit more mechanically challenging, as it were. But once you start getting the basics understanding of what you're looking to try and do, then you can start working with that, and you can be like, oh, I can actually kill someone there. The biggest thing that I cannot stress enough, fire shards early basically does no damage. The base damage on it is 100, and that will have protections. The actual amount that it has scaling is 30%. So you really can't look at fire shards as like, oh, it's going to do a lot of damage. Basically, the enemy has to already be dead before fire shards will do anything at level 1. That being said, though, it can still do stuff. I'm not saying it can't, but the thing that I would recommend with fire shards is, this is something that I haven't ever talked about, but you see that health bar right there? That health bar there, for every single one of the fully completed rectangles, that is the equivalent of 100 health. So for example, Odin here has 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. He has about 530 health, level 1. So as a result, I know that that isn't going to be enough to kill him. Ra right now has 1, 2, 3... Hold on, let me just do this a bit better. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 720, 730 health, and we can check that. Yeah, 725, slap bang in the middle of what I said. So, this fire shards, oh, is it going to kill him? No. But it did 100 damage exactly. And as you can see, that's not bad. And so now, I'm just going to hit Ra up with a lot of damage. And... die to the fog. He died to the fog! Haha. Stupid Ra. But yeah, you can do that genuinely. You can throw out the fog and be like, hey, don't go in this area. Which is pretty useful. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've gone over the kit, let's go over a leveling guide for new Ra. Okay then, so level 1 with new Ra. What you're gonna need is you're gonna need your wave clear. As of season 4, this now means that you start in mid lane, which means you need to be able to pressure stuff. And your best option you have for that is your shining metal, because A, it costs the cheapest, and B, it's on the lowest cooldown, meaning you can throw it out for poke and still have it for wave clear, which is really useful. So, also as well, it genuinely does the most damage. So, that's a thing that you also have to keep in mind. I am going to quickly just keep that 100 there. So yeah, 50% scaling, it's pretty damn good. Yes, Mysterious Fog has 50% scaling on it and a tick, but that tick's really not going to do you that much early. Bearing in mind as well, the speed at which Mysterious Fog goes is very slow. Shining Metal is like brrr, straight through everything. So that's really good. So level 1, we're going to pick up Shining Metal. Shining Metal is good. Keep Shining Metal. The next thing you're going to want to get is the thing which combos with that, and that is Clay Soldiers. Clay Soldiers enables you to start putting a little bit more pressure out. This means that not only will you be able to hit the front minions with Shining Metal, but you'll be able to explode Clay Soldier, doing an additional 30 damage plus 30% scaling, which is pretty good. Not only that as well, but you'll then also be able to have shreds and protections, give yourself more of a wave to be able to deal with. That is very useful to have. So, we do that. Nuwa, early, as I said, suffers very much from kind of crappy wave clear, so she's not the easiest god to deal, or the easiest god to clear wave, but she can do it. She's got decent-ish basics, and she can sort of start firing stuff. And having those Clay Soldiers basically gives her another minion in the wave, therefore, she can sort of, quote-unquote, get lane dominance, as it were. But either way, level 3 rolls around, and what you want to get here, you've got two options here that you can think of. Well, there's three options here. You can say, I get Mysterious Fog, this gives me safe wave clear, this gives me all this safe stuff, so I'm perfectly fine with doing that. You have Clay Soldiers here. The line of thinking is, well, if I get the second point in it, I get the second minion. That's amazing. That doubles the amount of damage that Shining Metal can do instantly. That increases the amount of damage that the wave has. As we were just saying about giving an additional minion to wave clear, what's better than giving one? It's giving two. So we do that. Or Shining Metal. The idea here is Shining Metal is my wave clear. As a result, I need to level Shining Metal. Personally, and this is just me, I personally like getting that secondary soldier. Getting that second soldier is useful because it, I feel, increases more damage and also as well can give me better poke pressure against my opponent. As a result, I will pick that up. Not to mention as well, reducing more protections is very useful. It means we do more damage. So as a result, I will pick up the second minion. Just because it's useful. At this point, though, you'll want to get that one. You get your one. Because you kind of need it. Also as well, it can be useful to use as quote-unquote secondary wave clear. But, you know, it's up to you. After that, we're going to pick up our ultimate, because this is our ultimate. Now, early, Nuwa ultimate can literally just be used as a satellite, and you're like, guys, I'm not actually sure as to where they are, or it can just be like, oh crap, the other guys have rotated. Maybe you're being ganked very hard. Here, let me A, find my ult, so B, you get a little bit of damage. B, let me tell you where everybody is. This also works through things like Darkest of Nights, which is very, very useful. So Xbalanque blind, you're like, oh, I can't see where anyone is. Bang, now you can. Slightly longer cooldown on it, but it's a useful thing to know, especially if Xbalanque starts coming back into the meta, because unfortunately he might. Either way, though, that's what we're going to be doing. Next up, we're just going to focus wave clear, which is Shining Metal. We focus Shining Metal because it's our wave clear. At this point, it probably is best for you to finish off the Shining Metal. You have a very difficult time here because you do want to level up Fire Shards, but at the same time, you also want to level Shining Metal. Play this one by ear, see whereabouts you are. If you're fine with the wave clear that you have right now, then by all means level Fire Shards. If you're not, go with Shining Metal. Either way, you're basically choosing between one of those two. For me, usually it's going to be the ultimate, because I want to use that not necessarily every time it's off cooldown, but I do want to be able to be more impactful in team fights, and what better way to do that than to fire more damage. If, however, your ultimate is on cooldown, it's a 110-second cooldown, so by all means go, hang on, I can get Shining Metal and level up before Fire Shard comes off cooldown. At which point, by all means, go Shining Metal. But that is the important thing you have to look at. And it's a question that a lot of people start thinking is, will I level up in time for this item to be off cooldown for me to have leveled it? If the answer is no, you got to think how likely you are to use it straight until that time. You got to think, when are you next likely to use the ult? And Fire Shards is a very interesting one to use. On one hand, you know it does no damage, so there's no point leveling it and just using it for the utility. On the other hand, it's going to always do no damage unless you level it, so it's a catch-22. Either way, level 10 will look something like this. After this point here, you have another school of thought to go through. One is, well, I've already got 2 Clay Soldiers, and I'm not going to get another one till level 5, so I could just level Mysterious Fog and then use that more with Wave Clear and save my Clay Soldiers. The other side of that is, Clay Soldiers increases the amount of damage they do in Protection Shred, and the sooner I can get them to level 3 or rank 5, the sooner I get 3 minions. Again, personally, the main thing you're going to want to use these for is getting that additional objective secure. You can use these on Gold Fury to tank it up. You can use these to stun out enemies, to zone them away. So as a result, making them more potent for me is more important. Mysterious Fog does basically everything you need it to do at level 1. The only thing you're really increasing is the damage. So as a result, get more utility out from those Clay Soldiers. After doing that then, we're going to keep leveling that. Again, similar sort of thought process here, although at this point I would say 3rd Clay Soldier outweighs the potential damage and usefulness of Fire Shards. So at level 13, I would most certainly advise you to pick up your 2. At level 13, this is what you're going to look at. Level 14, however, you start maxing out Fire Shards because, let's be honest here, Fire Shards is far more important than Mysterious Fog. Mysterious Fog does everything it needs to do, but level 20 will look something like this. And so now we may see a little bit more damage come out, and that is, yeah, 328. It's not great, but it's not bad. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, that is your leveling guide for Nuwa. There are slight variances, and you're going to have to think this one through when you're in the match yourself, but that should give you a general idea. Your general idea here is Shining Metal first, Clay Soldiers again to get 2 of them, leave it, focus the Wave Clear. Fire Shards if you can, then go back to Clay Soldiers, then Fire Shards, then Mysterious Fog. If that makes any sense to you, then good. If not, play it by ear when you're in a match. That's all I can do. I can't be there in your matches all the time, so you're going to have to think for yourself. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for a build. Okay then, so starting Nuwa off in the middle lane, the items that you're going to want to pick up, the first thing you're going to want is not Vampiric Shroud, it is Sands of Time. This item is too useful to simply not have. 10% cooldown already means that your ultimate is under 100 seconds on the timer. The MP5 is useful, gaining more MP5 is definitely useful, and 20 magical power is nothing to scoff at. So as a result, we're going to get that. It also means as well that our abilities, our Shining Metal is up more often, so we can use it more often for poke. And you know, that's not a bad thing. The other thing we're going to start with most likely is going to be Lost Artifact. More magical power, more MP5. In the early game, mages seem to be suffering a lot from lack of MP5. As a result, this gives you that MP5. So doing that is very useful. And I'm just going to go back to early levels to show you. So 15 MP5 early, pretty good. Not going to lie, is pretty good. After this point, the next thing you're going to want to finish is your booties. And Shoes of the Magi are perfect for this. Now, the other option you can go for. If you get off to an absolute stonking tear, like you're able to push mid and you're winning lanes and those kind of things, or you feel that you're capable of holding your own and playing safely, you can pick up Doom Orb. Doom Orb will give you a lot of MP5, a nice chunk of mana, and gaining those 50 stacks gives you a 140 power for 1,450 gold. That's pretty good. In fact, that's very good. However, you do have to remember that A, you will lose those stacks on death, and B, it's very risk versus reward. If by all means you can do it, then go for it instead of boots. Just remember, you're sacrificing movement speed and penetration for a boatload of power. That is not to say, though, that a boatload of power isn't good. Either way, I'm going to personally play it safe here. You guys can feel this one out, how you're playing the game, but I'd go Shoes of the Magi next. At this point, the next thing that we're going to want to look at, again, kind of comes down to the composition that you're facing. If you're facing very strong jungle presence in the mid lane, and it's a physical god, then a Dynasty Plate Helm is going to do you so well, because it gives you power, physical protection, and magical penetration. All things that a mage wants in their kit. So that, as a result, is very, very useful. So we're going to pick that up. Third item kind of comes down to you, actually, at this point. There are a couple options here. MLC Stealth will actually say, you know what, I'm not going Dynasty Plate Helm second, and he picks up Ethereal Staff. Now, this is very, very interesting, because what Ethereal Staff enables him to do is turn around and say, hey, my ultimate kind of does no damage, but if I can deal 5% of an enemy god's max health to them in damage, that's pretty good. It also gives you a bit of health, a fair bit of magical power, and some crowd control reduction. So that's pretty good as well. And not only that, but 20% of that health is going to go to your minions. So that's pretty good. And then what happens as well is not only that, but we also as well, just let me hit level 5, and you'll see that, let's see which of these gods it hits. Or does it hit all of them? I think it hit Ra for that one, so that's fine. So yeah, that will deal an additional 5% of a god's health. That's pretty good. That'll probably hit the tank. I think it hits the tankiest target. It works very much like Soul Reaver, but that's still not bad. That turns your ult in. It's just a little expensive. After this, once you get your third item here, you will really need penetration. I actually really like the Ethereal Staff option here. Other options are things like Bancroft's Talon to give you a boatload of magical power. Pythagorean's Piece is pretty good if you want to get some cooldown in there. You can always just run straight into the Obsidian Shard. It's up to you. Personally, I'm going to play with the Ethereal Staff because Ethereal Staff means that what it enables me to do is this enables me to say, hey, tankiest target, you're not quite so tanky. And it's always going to be 5% is 5% is 5%. So that's pretty good. After this, you do need penetration. Whilst you do have your clay soldiers, you're going to need it on targets who aren't being hit by your clay soldiers. An Obsidian Shard gives you just what you needed. After this point, I personally actually really like Chronos Pendant. Well, I say I like Chronos Pendant. Having spent a little bit of time looking over what Chronos Pendant does and how it works, and especially with Nuwa, Chronos Pendant is really fun. Really fun. And by really fun, I mean, goddamn, that item is really, really fun. Because a lot of MP5, which is great for Nuwa, cooldown, which is great for Nuwa, means that her peel is up more often, and the passive is a very interesting one, where every 10 seconds, the pendant will activating, subtracting 1 second from all of your abilities that are on cooldown. The initial countdown does not start until you leave the fountain, but this item just works forever once you step out of the fountain with it. So it's really, really strong. And then finally, what mage build wouldn't be complete without Rod of Tahuti? None would be, to be perfectly honest. And then later game, you can look back to Dynasty Player Helm and be like, you were useful, but now I don't need you. So you can sell that off. And other options that you have are things like Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver is a very strong option. It lets you punch through a lot of burst damage. Very, very strong burst damage. Bearing in mind that you're getting 5% off of ethereal stuff. This thing's also going to take 10% as well. So, 15% of their damage every 40 seconds. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, we'll say. Other options that you have are instead of Soul Reaver, you can actually late game book a Thoth. Or Thoth, or Thoth, or however you want to pronounce it. You can get it late game. It's perfectly fine to get late game. It's still a boatload of power. So you can, by all means, go with that. It's really comes down to what you're fighting. Other things that you could go for are more penetration. Divine Ruin is a very good item because what you can turn around here is you can say, oh, they have anti-heal on their team. Guess what? Fire Shards hits everyone always. So, get that additional penetration. Spirit of Desolation, very, very good as well. You receive a killer assist. All your cooldowns are reduced by 1 second. Bearing in mind that your ultimate always hits stuff, it means you're going to get those, so you can get that. It really comes down to your playstyle. So, for me, I really like running Soul Reaver, but most of the time, it's cheaper and more efficient to get something else, so Spirit of Deso is pretty good, I would say. In terms of actives, beads, and Aegis. That's kind of it. You kind of just need these. And you'll see Nuwa, when she gets to level 20, if we just make our way over to level 20, that would be great. And there we go. And as you can see, this is the level 20. Oh yeah, upgrade your actives when you find option 2, usually sort of as you're working towards your last game item, and then we go up, and then we go bam. We do a nice chunk of damage. My fire shards actually hurts for about 500 a shot. That hurts for 500. These minions will probably kill Ra. Yeah, they kind of kill Ra. But yeah, as you can see, the main focus of your damage is actually coming through from these here. And as you can see here, they do a lot of damage, and that is amazing. Also as well, like I said, if you root someone, look at that. They took additional damage from that. And so as a result, you can do so much damage here. But that is not the only things that you can do with Nuwa. No, there are some other fun things. If you've ever played against a Bastet, then you know that Bastet is synonymous with being like, oh, my ult's off cooldown. See your tower? Now you don't. Well, same thing with minions. But not only that, minions also as well will kill this thing. Look at how much damage I do to Gold Fury. That's pretty good. That's pretty good indeed. Not to mention as well, you can put these on Fire Giant and have those tank Fire Giant. Like, these things tanking Fire Giant is amazing. So have them tank Fire Giant for you. Throw your Fog out as well. It's useful. It's a little bit of DPS. And then just throw them out. And look at how much damage they do. It's so much damage. And as you can see, you do a boatload of damage. Also, so how much damage do we actually do here? 599 damage. That's a lot. Not to mention as well, you also... Oh, I heal for 420. That's just elite and amazing in every single way. Not to mention as well, we haven't even gotten a red buff yet. So let's just see what happens here with a red buff. But yeah, Nuwa minions are her most powerful asset. By far and away. The most powerful asset that Nuwa has in her kit. Chronos Pendant works phenomenally well with this goddess. She just absolutely loves it. Not to mention very high MP5, really kind of just helpful for her to have. So Chronos Pendant just makes everyone feel better. It just makes everyone feel better, like in every single way. Main thing that you got to watch out for Nuwa is you've got to be careful when you use your minions. If you use them too early, and you used it at, say, like there's a Kukulkan and he drops his tornado, don't drop your minions in the tornado. Try and put your minions in a place where they're not just going to instantly die, because late game, the hunters will just destroy them. Late game, the mages will blow them away with AoE from an ability that they weren't even aiming at you. So you need to try and make sure that you either fire those into the front line so that you can deter the front line and push them away and keep them busy, or you need to do it when there are less abilities on or up and active so that they won't be destroyed instantly. As a result, that would be very useful for you to do. Don't forget that later game, fire shards will do a lot of damage. It will actually do damage this time. So, you know, bang. 600 and something damage is very good. I'm not gonna lie, 600 damage is great. Also, I don't know exactly how much damage that was, but let's see. Let's see. I had to just work out exactly how much damage shiny metal plus 3 minions is going to do. That will do 400. I'm going to round this up really. So it's roughly 650 base damage plus 3 lots of 380, which is 900 plus 1140 plus 600. That's pretty much the entire health bar of an ADC late game. So if you can do that, I wish you the best of luck. That being said though, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've just about come to the end of this for New World. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope you guys have learned something here, and give these things a try. By all means, let me know what you guys go for with builds, whether or not you think that, you know, Spirit of Desolation isn't that great. You'd rather get, I don't know, maybe there's an item that I haven't thought of. Maybe you could turn around and say that instead actually getting Stone of Binding is really useful, because once you set up your stun, you get that, or your root. Actually, hang on a second. Hang on a cotton picking second. I just want to check that. No, never mind. Never mind. I didn't know if root was going to be hard. Didn't know if root was a hard crowd control or not. Just checking. It's not, but never mind. We'll pretend that it was. We'll pretend that it was. And we'll just do a lot of damage to everything. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, I hope you guys have learned something here. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope you guys let everyone else know in the comment section down below your stories, experiences, tips, advice with new WoW builds, anything like that. The more we're able to help each other learn, the better we can make this Smite community, and that is a good thing for everyone. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, my name has been SuperSonicBlur. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and favorite for more, and to share this stuff so people know that it exists. You guys have been a fantastic audience, and I shall see you all next time.